Good morning, everyone. Thank you to ETBI for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here with such a big and engaging audience. Those of you who don't know me, and a lot of you know me, know a lot of you, my name is John McGrath, the research manager in SOLAS. I manage what's called the SLMRU, and our speciality is monitoring skill supply and demand for SOLAS, for the expert group on future skill needs, and for some government departments, most notably health, for obvious reasons, I'd say. Now, what I'm going to do, since I've only got 15 minutes, it's going to be very simple. I'm going to discuss with you the way we get as many jobs, as many direct jobs for our VET clients as possible. Now, hands up, I know direct employment is not the sole objective of FET, but it is an objective that we are being pushed more and more into by government. So let's do it as well as possible. That's all I'm saying. Now my presentation, sorry, have we got this yoke? So the presentation will be divided into three sections. I'm going to look at the actual jobs market at the moment for FET, and I'm going to look at the potential jobs market for VET. As you can imagine, there's quite a difference. I'm then going to look at past performance in terms of VET training and where it was really good in terms of direct employment and the lessons we can learn from that. And I'm going to finish off by, I'm going to promise you this, how my unit can help you in a practical way to, as I say, exploit the total market for jobs with intermediate skills for our clients, for all our clients. So I'll start with the first one. What's the market? Well, I've just given you this snapshot from 2014. I've done it by age, because when you look at young people, that's like looking into the future. So you can see what it is there. The older group, like me, the 55 to 64 there, you can see the breakdown. But you can see two things really happening, two striking things as you go down to the younger age groups. The share of people with third level education is really going up and up and up. And the corollary of that is the share with people with lower secondary or less is contracting dramatically too. You might say, oh, very well, except in the middle there is us. We're 14%, and if that's not bad enough, we're not moving. We're not moving. That's the real problem, you know? It's staying more or less the same. And what we do, like John, we do forecasts. We tend to base our forecasts, it's a little bit different from the CDFOP forecasts. I said that no two economists can agree. It's because we're using different bases here. We're using a different time period. These are based on the SRI scenarios. If you look at the recovery one, by 2020, we're expecting 160,000 additional jobs requiring third level education, 62,000 in Leaving Cert, and as I say, this stuck in the mud, only 44,000 in FET. You might say to me, oh, well, John, maybe 14% is the best we can do. That's crazy, to be honest with you. Here is just a list of, employment by the main occupational groups. We've 6% in process plant and machine operatives, 6% in sales and customer service. Skilled trades is good, and actually it's better than that because there'll be farmers in that. But the rest is well below potential, even allowing for the fact that I suppose professional occupations are not our natural market, and maybe most of associate professional or managers are not our natural market. We could do far better than 14%. It's partly a supply constraint. If you look at these countries here, the yellow is the upper secondary or post-secondary non-tertiary with vocational orientation. Look how big it is. Now don't misunderstand this. This doesn't mean that there's no second level general education in places like the Czech Republic or Germany. No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean where these kids don't go on to university, the vast majority of them along the way pick up a vocational skill. They don't navigate the labour market with only the equivalent of a Leaving Cert. They don't do that. And these labour markets, particularly Denmark, Germany and Austria, are among the best performing in the whole of Europe. And I say that defining good performance as a low official unemployment rate. So just to finish the first section now, so the share of employed with VET qualifications is low, unlike the share tertiary. John made this point very well. The share is static though. Potential share of jobs is much higher than 14%. So what's going on? Are employers snobbish as well? Are they not prepared to? There is a supply constraint, as I said, but is this a vicious kind of circle where employers are not prepared to take people with VET qualifications? Here is a bit of the science, but what I did here was I just took 130 occupations. I took the proportion, the share of third-level qualified people in these 130 occupations. Now, they go from the bottom there to very elementary, banal occupations, the kind of brain surgeons at the top. And then I looked at them through the recession, 2007 to 2013. And I'm just going to take that one there that I just put the red dot on. And you can see in 2007 it was, about 10% of graduates. It's gone up to about 35%. And believe me, I don't remember that when it's cleaners or something, but these are banal occupations. It's the same point that John's made. When the labour market got tight, graduates literally came in and said, get out of the way. These are my jobs. I want a job rather than nothing. So you VET person, just take a hike. And that's actually what happened. Now, it's not the full story, right? And this is the important thing, I think. We track the employment outcomes of all, it's not all of your skill training courses, because PLCs has a big component of, hairdressing, etc. But this is the results of tracking the ones that were former FOSS courses. Now, we tracked them, the people who left in 2014, we went back and we looked at their situation 12 months later. 12 months later. The overall employment was 30%. Well, what does that mean? Is that good, bad, or indifferent at that time? All I can say to you is that just a few months later, the HEA, the First Destination Survey, found that 51% of the elite, these would be the level 8 honours graduates just from the universities, had found employment, but critically 12% were in overseas markets. So the domestic and the difficult Irish labour market comparison was 39% to 30%. But when you think again that 30%, and maybe you'll say that I'm adding to the problem by having an overall rate of 30%, because that 30% crosses an enormous range from the most disadvantaged people imaginable, really people you're hard to go out to people who are job ready. And if I just break it down, you can see their traineeship 43%, well over the level 8 returns. Momentum 42%. Now I promised a colleague of mine, I should say that the SST at 29 or 30% is lower than it normally comes in. I suspect there may have been a bit of competition between momentum and SST. So we have to take that on board. And of course what you'd expect, the bridging, the CTC, early school leaves, direct placement much lower. And as I say, I'm probably making a mistake here, because one of the things I'd like to see is that we allocate the right performance indicators to the right programs. I think we beat ourselves over the head all the time by not doing that. And here I go, not doing it to some extent. So what courses were best? Manufacturing. Very specific courses are best. Very specific technical skills are best. Now you might say, well, what about, John, what about IT up there? That's brought down by a plethora of European driving license courses. Now, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're more basic than the normal mainstream courses, and that's what brings down the placement rate there. But you can see how well, very specific, as opposed to general technical skills courses are performing. And here's 25 to 29-year-old graduates in deployment, and straight away you can see engineering, manufacturing, construction. These are graduates, I'm using graduates to refer to FET, which is the blue one, and then the third level, which, whatever you call that, the yellow one. And you can see employers are taking the same share, there's no difference. It's if they get the right training in the right areas, they'll give their left arm for that, really will. This is just the HEA, the one we did with the HEA recently, on the attitude of employers to VET and the attitude to third level. And see attention to detail. You won't be surprised by that. See business acumen and awareness, and you can see VET graduates outperforming. You won't be surprised about that. If I had a euro for every time an employer said to me, the graduates are not really ready for the work environment. It takes a while to get them to be productive. I'd be a very rich man. Now, again, personal attributes. It's very close between the two. So you might say, this is a very positive picture, and so why was it berated so much? Well, there's a sting in the tail here, I'm afraid. I'm now just going to show you the rate for people who are either employed or studying, either studying education or studying or in another training course. And it's 42%. And now, CTC and places like that improved their rankings, and you'd expect that. But we are appalling in terms of how we treat those who don't make it. And that's the difference between the third level and us in terms of perception. We do well on the placement. The rest go back to the live register, and our unemployment rates are awful. In third level, they actually continue on, maybe doing masters, some other postgraduate course if the labour market is tight, and their unemployment rates have stayed really quite modest. And we have to do something about that. There you are, Ireland, FET unemployment rate really bad, next to Portugal. So just to summarise this before I go to the very last one, we do quite well in terms of employment. Also, look at the courses, traineeship, momentum. They all have a lot of employer engagement. They have a big work experience. I know John, I think, agrees with me on this. There are characteristics of the delivery of courses which really have placement. Now, I want to, this is a little bit of the science thing. It's what John said also. You know, we've about maybe 300,000, maybe it's a bit more, the labour market's a bit buoyant now, maybe about 320,000 vacancies, the total vacancies. And they're divided. They're sourced different, you know, they're differently sourced. You have expansion demand, net employment growth. And the best way to look at it is expansion demand means more employment and less unemployment. Replacement demand means static employment, but less unemployment. Because there are jobs there that people are going into. But obviously, since they're just replacing people, you won't see it in the employment figure. And then there's job changes. No employment and no jobs. And if you don't make that differentiation, you will, because the job changes are so high, you'll be hitting the job changes. You'll be pulling your hair out saying, Christ, why is the unemployment figure not going down? You know, the dog running after its own tail. That's what will happen. And what we will do, and this is the third part of it, what we do is and all credit to CSO for giving us the data, we can track individuals as they move between jobs, as they move in and out of the labour market, between employment, unemployment and inactivity. And this allows us to crucially distinguish between replacement demand, turnover, which is just job changing. Somebody going to Lidl and somebody else going to Dunn's, you know, and expansion demand. And what we will do is we'll go to each ETBI area, myself, my team, and we will do a quantitative exercise with you. So at least we'll show you what the volume of additional jobs are. You know, I said that I talk about employment. I'm not saying that I expect every person on a VET program to get employed. I mean, how many could get employed? Let's say you're a superman and superwoman and you got 100% employment. Well, as John said, we're doing quite well now. Maybe we've 3% net employment growth. What's that, 60,000? We have about 7% overall on replacement. Obviously, it's much lower in professional and higher in elementary. 10%, that would be 200,000, but that's the whole economy. About 40% of that might be realistic. That's probably too high, but I'm just talking off the top of my head, maybe 60 or 80,000. The number of beneficiaries, according to the FAR thing, will be over 3 times that. So we've got to sort this out. We've got to put the right performance indicators against the right programs, and they're not all going to be employment. And we probably have got to cut down the numbers. Let me just, I won't go into difficult to fill rates. I'll just give you an idea. They're the reports we do. I think there's another little piece. Yeah, this is what's going to be sent around to you at the beginning of the year. We still have 3 or 4 weeks to work on it. I've got Cork here. I know Ted is here. I must have left it there. But it's basically a nice kind of colourful kind of leaflet indicating what your labour market is. Now, I know that that's not great practical use to you. I'd say nice pictures, but where does it get us? And that's why I say we will have an interactive person-to-person sessions with you all to bring it through it, and at least then we can quantify your labour market by occupation. So thanks very much for listening.